How will it look like if you have a preferred servant who uses your name, who uses your signature, who uses your car and everything you ever heard, who goes out there to represent you, and you have given him or her all the privileges. You never deprived him or her of anything. And out there, he or she begins to do whatever that comes to his or her heart, not fearing whatever the consequence. How you feel? This is someone you feed, you clothe, you house, and you duly instructed to carry out all your wishes. That is a servant. How will you feel when your son, your own blood, who seems to have carried all your values, the heir to the throne of your life, your child, who knows everything about you, and just chooses to dishonor you? How will you feel? That's exactly what God was asking the great people in the book of Malachi chapter 1 verse 6. He said, now, a servant fears his master. I mean, it's a courtesy. If he has a master because the master pays him, feeds him, houses him, and does everything for him. He said, well, my people, I'm now talking to you. If you want to treat me as your master, where is my fear? Okay, if a child chooses not to respect his father as his father, and he say, okay, I take you as my master because you pay my salary. He don't say, okay, don't worry. Where then is my fear? Equally ask, a son honors his father. If I am actually your father and you are my son, where is my honor? It might surprise you to know whom God was actually addressing this to in the book of Malachi chapter 1 verse 6. He was talking to the priests, the pastors, the great people of God, the people that know more about the law, about the counsel of God. And what exactly do you think they did against him? Is that they never feared him. No more fear. No more respect. No more honor. I'm going to tell you why. Where exactly was God talking or pointing at? Malachi chapter 2, verse 16. He clearly states there that I hate divorce. Yeah. In 14, he already told them, no, you are doing wickedly with your wife, you are doing wickedly with your husband, you are doing wickedly with the spouse and partners. Verse 16, chapter 2 says, I, God, hate divorce. He hates it. He hates when somebody is behaving wickedly towards another. My name is Christian Matthew. Today, I am wearing the hat of a pastor. We shall be considering this concept that is very rare. People hardly talk about it, even in our pulpit. The issue of divorce and remarriage. You hear me? The issue of divorce and remarriage. It is really in vogue. And just because it is in vogue and everybody involves in it, and even the church, even the pastors, the reverends, everybody involves in it, does that make it to be right? Just because everybody does wrong thing, does that make wrong to be right? It's not possible. The book of Exodus chapter 23 verse 2, God said there that thou shalt not follow the multitude to do evil. It has meant that multitude always will want to do something that please them. Thou shalt not follow multitude to do evil. And please let me quickly pause there and try to explain what multitude could mean. You see, God is eternal, is everlasting, is patient, is not in a hurry, is long-suffering. Peradventure, you forgot what happened to the Israelites. How many of them that went to Egypt? About 70? Yes, that was about 70. I'm talking about the immediate family of Jacob. Just about 70 of them. By the time they were getting out of Egypt, there were more than 600 men, not counting women and children. And do you know how many of them got to the promised land? Caleb and Joshua. Out of 600,000 men, only 2 people got to the promised land. Do you think God has lost? He never lost anything. No. He never lost anything. Have you ever forgotten that it was only Adam and Eve God started with? And when everybody began to follow the multitude and everybody conspired against God, you know what happened? During the time of Noah, he wiped everybody, millions of people, except 8. Is it at loss? No. It's eternal. It has all the time. And so when he warned the Israelites, you must not join the multitude to do evil. He meant what he was saying because it's going to clear the multitudes at the end of the day. What we have in the multitude these days is everybody began to do whatever he or she liked. Just like the Bible was saying in the book of Judges, that when there was no king in Israel, everybody began to do whatever that came to his heart. Why do we think that God will not revisit this issue of hatred, fighting, divorce, wrong remarriage, and all that? He's going to revisit it one day. Jesus said that in the beginning, it was not so. Let me give you a little background to that. Some guys came to Jesus and said that, look, Moses gave us authority to divorce our wives. Yes. Why are you saying that we should not? And Jesus said, well, in the beginning, it was never so. Let me go a little bit down. Can you ever imagine that when Israel left Egypt, they were in serious trouble? You see, they spent many years in the wilderness, about 40 years. While they were in the wilderness struggling to get to the promised land and all that, some people still engage in divorcing, quarreling and fighting. You remember when Jethro, the father-in-law of Moses, came to visit him? Remember the counsel he gave Moses? Moses, you don't have time to rest. You don't have time to sleep. You don't have time to eat. You just kill yourself. Why don't you appoint about 70 elders? Train them to be good counselors. Pray for them. Whatever case they could not handle, they will now refer to you. But every other menial cases, they will handle themselves. I now wonder what Moses was dealing with. Part of what Moses was dealing with those days was the issue of men that said, okay, now I want to divorce this person, and if you don't allow me to divorce her, I'm going to kill her. And Moses said, no. Give her a bill of divorce. But Jesus said, in the beginning, it was not so. What obtained in the beginning? You remember what the Bible has said in the book of Genesis chapter 2 verse 18. It is not good that a man lives alone. I am going to make unto him, produce, manufacture unto him a suitable helper. A helper that is suitable. And of course, he made him to fall asleep, and he carved out Eve through him. And he clamored, "This is the bone of my bones and the flesh of my flesh, and she shall be called a woman." He was the one that proclaimed who this woman will be. And she will be called a woman. And shortly after that, there was a problem. Satan deceived Eve. Of course, Eve compelled Adam, and they ate the forbidden fruit. And the first thing Adam did, you see, he was the one that proclaimed, "This lady is fantastic. She's the apple of my eye, and the sugar, and my tea, and whatever." Now he changed the gear. He said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she made me to hate that." And one would have thought God would do what we are doing these days. When we listen, say, "Oh, that man is actually a monster. You must get out of his house. Oh, that lady is actually so bad. Come and go and get another wife." I mean, this cancer, the normal reasoning, the normal thinking, the convenience, and I mean, our usual common sense. It's reasonable. I mean, it's rational. When they sit you down and they tell you this is exactly what this person has done, they told you all that that person has done, but they never told you why he or she did that. It might be the person is having some mental disorder. It might be the person is having some underlying medical issues. Nobody can tell why certain things are happening. And there's no one who report another person that will expose his own error. Nobody does that. We just have to blame and blame and blame and blame. Blaming, complaining, stonewalling. So when Adam told God, "The woman whom you gave to be with me made me to commit this error. So please send her out." Did God do that? In the beginning, it was not so. God never. God sent the two of them out together. Together you shall be. The essence of marriage is to be suitable helper to each other. Somebody is weak, somebody is strong. We have to complement with each other. If you have not learned in marriage to complement with each other, how can we live in heaven? I mean, so iron sharpens iron. We can reason together, we can live amicably. We don't just want to say, because this is this, therefore that is that. It does not always work that way. I am not just talking about divorce now or remarriage. I'm talking about the arbitrary divorce and arbitrary remarriage. Let me tell you a few examples. Do you know that Hagar, the housemaid of Sarah, would have made the greatest mistake of her life if she had thought that she was divorcing? In the first place, there was no marriage. That was not a divorce. It was a fraudulent kind of, deceptive kind of relationship. Somebody just said, "Okay, I have power over you, therefore." Now, and when this Sarah was complaining, because now God told Abraham, "Do whatever Sarah is saying." So if Hagar want to say, I want to stay with my husband, who is your husband? Go get your man. Go get your man. And likewise, the lady Jesus met at the well, that Samaritan woman. Jesus simply told her, "Look, go call me your husband." The lady said, "I have no man, I have no husband." Jesus said, "You are correct in that. Because the current person, possibly the fourth or the fifth, you are staying with, It's not actually your husband. You're just jumping from one house to the other, wasting your time. You have never had a husband. You think that woman is divorced? Or is she divorcing when she gets out of that place? I do not think so. What is a divorce? Who gave the consent? The father, the mother? Who gave? God? Who gave the consent? Sometimes ago, a particular lady was lured into a particular relationship, and later she knew that this man was married, and that it was an arrangement between him and his wife that he should go and get married to a particular rich person so that she can sponsor the family. And by the time this lady knew, she was distraught. And the question is, okay, what are you going to do about this? He said, yes, I'm going to divorce. I said, you were never married. What is divorce you're talking about? You were never married. Whatever marriage we thought is real marriage, if any that marriage is done under deception, under the law, it's not a marriage. Somebody deceives somebody to get into something, no? It's not, you're not divorcing. You are just going to look for a husband to marry you, and you're going to marry normally. That is not a divorce. Even if you are published on the pages of newspaper that you are married. This is clearly by deception. And the law recognizes that. Oh, a young boy just was sent to school by his parents and got a little girl, and they now stay together in a place, they cohabit, and it resulted into pregnancy, and they are getting the first children, the first child, the second children, whatever, and they have 5 children. Does that make them to be married? If the parents now say, how did you get all this? It was a mistake. And they want to go and officially marry, now say, oh, no. You are married. Who married them? In the account of God, are they really married? And no, I'm just curious. What is marriage? What is divorce? When you legitimately got into relationship, and for whatever reason, you just chose that you want to part your ways, I say, please think deeply. Every other person can listen to you. You see, I have learned that there's difference between facts and reasons. People present facts, but those are not the reasons behind whatever action they are taking. But God knows the real reason. Did you hear me? Jeremiah 16, verse 17. Also Jeremiah 23:24 says that there is nothing you do that God does not see. God sees everything. God knows everything. He weighs, he measures your reins, your thoughts, your intent. He knows why you are doing what you are doing. He knows who whispers something to you, who is confusing you, or who you are confusing. God knows everything. And everything is laid bare before him. And the Bible says, all of us shall give account of all that we have done before him. We will give account of every of our actions before him. And if we know we are going to give account, then what should we do? And the priest, be careful. Sometimes ago, maybe some 12 years ago, I asked a particular supposed the groom's father at a particular wedding just before they were joined. The moment I heard that was the groom's father, I came downstairs and I asked him, sir, your son, what happened to his wife? The man said, they had a misunderstanding and they separated. And I said, what about their children? He said the children are with the lady. Wow. And the information that man gave us was that his wife died. And because he was a preacher and a popular person, somebody decided to adopt one of the children in Canada. That was the information he gave. And what do you think Christian would do? Me, I went upstairs. I said, hey, be very careful. This is the hand of Jacob, but the voice of Esau, or vice versa. Please, what can we do? I just find out from this man, that from the father, that the guy was lying. And I mean, everybody was there, but I made my intention known to them that this marriage we are joining. I mean, so I opted out. That is marriage by deception. I mean, I was in dilemma. Should I voice out? Of course I did. The marriage never lasted 6 months. Why? It's based on deception. You now say that that woman who was wrongly married is divorcing if she gets out of that. She's not. In fact, there was no marriage. There could be marriage certificate, because this is the court of evidence. Who then should remarry? Who is that man that could remarry? I already set an example of people who are not really married. Then why is it that people who are already married are now the people that want to remarry? Don't we have cases to answer before God? Priest, the question he asks you is, if I were your master, where's my fear? If I were your father, where is my honor? Why is it that we begin to use the standard of the world? Hey, the Bible says in the book of John, chapter 12, verse 48, Jesus said, I have something that will judge you. The word which I have spoken will judge you at the end of the age. If we know that we will give account and God's word will judge us, why don't we change? Why don't you try to settle? Jesus said that settle with your adversary quickly. We can settle, we can live together in peace, we can be serious, we can think so deeply before we go into relationship. The Bible says, if the foundation be destroyed, what shall the righteous do? Shouldn't we just wait patiently to work on our foundation rather than just jumping into relationship, which may put us in trouble at the end of the day? Paul the apostle said, and if you want to divorce, oh, no problem. If a woman wants to get out, a man wants to get out, no problem, but please remain single. Is it possible these days? When your body is not wood or stone. So why don't you just endure? God is long-suffering. God endures with all of us. The best of us is not to the standard of God. And God is not going to lower his standard. God is bearing with us, forgiving us. Where is forgiveness in our relationship? Where is it? What will be the fate of our children, whom we just abandon just because, for whatever reason? Children need both parents. And you're going to give account of adverse effect you have had on your children just because of the pressure or wanting to place yourself. Who should remarry? Who is that man? Who is that woman that should remarry? I'm not going to dwell with that. I'm going to recommend a book to you. I wrote this many years ago. The title is Who Should Remarry? Who should remarry? What are the things that should be put into consideration before you remarry? You divorce? How are you planning for healing? You need to be healed. What planning are you making for the children? Your baggage. I mean, how are you going to avoid the previous mistakes you have made? Once bitten, twice shy. You can get a copy of this book in my website, www.christianmatthewbooks.org. Our website is secure. Likewise, our payment platform, Paystack, is also secure. So you can use your card freely online with us. who should remarry? Who is that man that will remarry? Who is that woman that should remarry? What are the things that must be put into consideration before you remarry? About yourself and about others and about relationship. I want you to be congruent. If someone pushes you, please don't push yourself against the counsel of God. God's standard remains standard. Thank you. Who should remarry? Who is our brother? Should remarry?